Sani's sort of a tech genius. He's the founder and board chair of VezTech USA. It's a technology consulting company that shortens the time that tech startups take to go from idea to revenue. Last year, City National entrusted Sani with the leadership for its next generation mobile banking initiative. 12 years ago, he found his calling in something quite opposite, enabling economic empowerment by helping create jobs through tech entrepreneurship. And he's always on the hunt for ideas worth supporting. And he's asked to speak on topics such as emerging technologies and digital consumer trends. And you can find him at Forbes and speaking at other forums. So welcome. Give them all a round of applause. Thank you all. So the first thing, if I'm in the audience and I'm listening and I'm thinking of taking that plunge, the first question I want to hear from each of you is, how did you, I think you know you're an entrepreneur when you're actually taking action, when it's no longer an idea, and you bite the bullet and say, I'm going to do this. So if each of you can share a little of a story about that, when you said, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm not going back, the other thing. So, Sani, why don't you go first?
Let's start with why not to be an entrepreneur. I'm asked for advice by young people, aspiring entrepreneurs, and I ask them, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And the answer usually is, oh, I want to become a millionaire or gazillionaire. I want to have freedom. I want to travel as much as I want. I want to own things as much as I want. I want to be in control. I don't want to have to work a lot. These are all the wrong reasons, I can tell you that. And I'm sure you all know that. What was the question? Sorry.
The question was, what was the moment where you said, I'm an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. I was a very bad employee. I got fired a couple of times. I'll be honest with you. I got fired a couple of times, and very early in my career, I realized that whenever companies want to save money, the easiest way to save money is to cut headcount. And and also I came from a family of entrepreneurs, so my options were either medicine or entrepreneurship, some sort of business. Medicine, healthcare, I realized very early on when I think we were in high school and they asked us to dissect frogs to determine our interest in healthcare in the future, and I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. So my options were quite limited anyway. So it was an easy decision for me to get into entrepreneurship. But then the journey, that's another story. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Let me ask you, I'm trying to see what the commonality is from the four of you. And I heard, actually I had a late mentor, a guy named Warren Bennis from USC, and he passed away a few years ago. And he was making a distinction that there are some people who go where they're looking, and there are other people who look where they're going. And leaders, and I think entrepreneurs, they go where they're looking. You know, they have a joy of discovery as opposed to a fear of discovery. Whereas other people, you know, because of security things, they're always looking where they're going. So can you relate to any of that? That there was something that you could see yourself living into something, and it was, I don't know if it was calling out to you, but it was a different kind of energy than just looking where you're going.
The best way to answer that question for me would be, I sort of look at my life as in entrepreneurial life as in two segments. The first segment was when I was pushed into entrepreneurship. I told you the reasons before, one, family background, other, the way corporate America treats you sometimes. And so I got there. And then at that point, I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm just learning, I'm just exploring. I'm building skill set that I would need later down the road. And it just so happened I stumbled upon an opportunity because of my corporate background. We did something called process optimization. That's a fancy word of saying killing jobs. We were killing jobs. I would go to different companies and very handsomely paid, and I would say, we're gonna optimize your process, which means we're gonna eliminate as many jobs as we can. And I took pride in that, I made a lot of money and all that. And at that point, I'm just doing things as I found them. As opportunities came my way, they were making money, I was getting paid, good. In the middle of all that, and that's where my second part of my entrepreneurial life starts. In the middle of all that, I visited my grandmother And like any other grandmother, she wanted to know what I did. And in my, fanciest language, I told her that I do this and that. And what it does is it enables each employee of my client companies to do the work of 3 employees. It's awesome. And this lady who never entered the school, no formal education, nothing, took a fraction of a second and she goes, so what happens to the other 2 guys? Okay. And then she goes, so you take away people's bread and butter, huh? I'm like, love you too, Grandma. So came back from my vacation and took some time off and really tried to find out. And that's when I go from exploration to destination. Now I'm looking for a destination. What do I want to work towards? What's the purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And what I defined for myself, the purpose of entrepreneurship or the purpose of success, was now I don't want to take away jobs, I want to create jobs. Economic empowerment of individuals. Now, through what means that my background was in tech and process and all that, so I thought, well, that makes sense. So, economic empowerment through tech entrepreneurship. So that kind of came natural. But the idea of working towards a destination, that didn't come till later, way later in my entrepreneurial life. And I had young people, and they ask me for advice, I tell them, don't become victim of analysis paralysis. Don't try to find your destination, your purpose, and spend too much time on that, and don't develop those skills. Don't start doing something. Just start doing something. You'll find your destination at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to try an exercise that will actually help you within yourself to see, because I think what I'm also hearing is you have to have more of a joy of discovery as opposed to a fear of discovery. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Absolutely.
That there has to be this intense curiosity without jumping to conclusions. So here's the exercise, and this will be revealing, and I'm going to give you a quote that you've never heard of before, okay? And I'm sure you've never heard of it, most of you. Now let me see if, and listen into it. So the quote is, if you give a person a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a person to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So how many of you inside are saying, I've heard that, think, oh, I've got that handled. Raise your hand, because you say, oh, that's not new. No, but you haven't heard the whole quote. The third part of it is, I'll say it over again, and it's a good thing to try with your friends to see if they jump to conclusions. Because I told you haven't heard it before. If you give a person a fish, feed him for a day. If you teach a person to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. But if you teach a person to learn, you feed them for a lifetime and they don't have to just eat fish. How many of you have heard that one? It comes from a friend of mine, Tim Galway. He's the inner game, such and such. But I think it's a good way to check yourself, because if we jump to prematurely jump, it's, oh, I know it. And we're all like that. We'll get anxious. We need to know something before we can, suspend disbelief and stay curious a little bit longer. So, take the one, try it out with other people, and you can be the smarty pants that I would just list. So if I'm listening in, so you become this entrepreneur, and can you share some crisis in that where you can say it took me to my knees or whatever, but you can say, geez, it made me wonder if I made the right decision, and it was pretty dicey, and how you got through them.
So from my earlier statement and the response from the room, I think most of you know that entrepreneurship is not an easy path. It's not for the weak of heart. And you may have heard that you have to enjoy the journey. Mark said you have to enjoy the exploration. So that happens in the very beginning, when you're exploring new things. You are serving your customers. And you are not, if you're doing the right things, you're not really focused on making money, you're focused on delivering some value for the customer. Money comes along the way. You don't have to target money. But what happens after that? What happened with me is, so I said, okay, I'm not gonna think too much about the money, I'm gonna think about the customer, think about delivering value. Money started coming, a lot of money came. But with money comes desire for more money. desire for things. And instead of me talking to my customers and understanding what is it that they need so I can deliver, I was talking to my portfolio manager, I'm talking to my real estate guy, I'm talking to my this guy and that guy, and not talking to my customers that I should be doing. And that was the start of the downfall. So what happens after that, and it's a common story I've heard from many entrepreneur friends, is we reach a level of success. Now we have money. Then we forget how we got there. We stop the process. We feel that it was a journey, I have arrived, now I don't have to put in any effort to improve myself or improve my skills or my abilities to serve my customers.
So the low point, it's to only hear from everyone, so the low point and then the wake-up call and how you turned it around was?
So the low point is when you lose your focus at the value that you're delivering. Then what happens? You have money, but you don't have purpose. You're not feeling that you're really creating any value. With that comes the feeling of loss, feeling of depression, feeling of anxiety, feeling of every other negative feeling. And that was a low point for me. It was so bad that I had to go to my doctor and tell him this is the situation. I have money, I can buy things, but I can't buy happiness. And he goes, well, you can buy one of the antidepressant pills you mentioned. It's like, well, you can buy that. But that's not the solution. So that was a low point. And then that was a wake-up call for me. Then I had to work my way up from that point to a point where I woke up one day and I said, I don't need my, those anxiety pills anymore because I know what my purpose is and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I guess the key lesson there is you got to know. I'm glad that you took the conversation towards like more deeper side. So the thing about capitalism is I was born and raised and I studied in a country on the other side of the planet and studied the economics and everything over there and business and then came over here. So I got an opportunity to compare different economic systems. The way I see capitalism is that it's not the best system in the world, but it's better than many other systems that we have. That's all I got.
I remember someone was interviewing Jack Welch when he was at GE, and they said, what is your responsibility to the community? What is your responsibility to the world? And I don't know if any of you know Jack Welch, he was a character, he just said it the way he saw it. And he said, if you're a for-profit company, your responsibility is to make a lot of money. And then depending on your values, when you have extra money, that'll dictate how you spend it. If your values are to buy an extra jet, an extra house, that's what you'll do. If your values are to help the world, you do that. He said, but if you're too focused on not making money, you won't survive. You won't survive long enough to be able to do those, high-minded kind of things. So, I can see, in California, left-leaning, is capitalism all ugly? Does it have to be ugly? But but there is sort of a reality, and it'll be interesting because I think that's a challenge. A lot of people feel that if I want to make money, is there something wrong with me? Am I bad? Am I greedy? Am I not caring about other people?
Answer that question. There, you have to have that driver, that inspiration in your life. Where does that come from? And it might be different things, different forces in your life at different stages in your life. I was the only person in my business school class who chose the entrepreneurship route. Everybody else went the corporate jobs route, right? And then when we met every year, and now we have a WhatsApp group where we exchange our updates with each other, I'm the only one who's a business owner. It was a matter of honor. I couldn't say I can't do it. I couldn't fail. I couldn't go back. I had to make it work. So that was the early stage of my career. Then I got to a point in my life where now I have all these employees that I'm responsible for. I remember I was flying somewhere, domestic flight. There was this person sitting next to me, and we started talking, and this person introduced herself as a very spiritual person, believed in prayers, and she was actually going somewhere to meet with some enlightened spiritual person for special prayers. So as I'm taught in my culture, when you meet somebody like that, you say, can you please pray for me? And she said, what do you want? I said, I want the ability to make the right decisions for people who depend on me. That's the only thing I asked for. It was that important to me. That was my drive. But then I moved on. So I moved on, got over it. Then I got to a point where now it's not just that these people who depend on me just within the company, the employees, the vendors, people who do it, but also the individuals that I'm helping towards that economic empowerment through tech startups, through tech entrepreneurship. I can't just take on a client because they're going to sign a check and we're going to get some money. People come to me with these innovative ideas, and I don't see my job as signing them up as a new client. I see my job as my first, like what I try to do is, I try to find a reason to say your idea sucks. Sounds negative. But there's a reason behind it. I don't want you to waste your money. I don't want you to do something that, based on my background and experience, I know that you're going to fail. So now it's another way of looking, feeling responsible towards those people.
So we're going to be going over into Q&A, but what I did want to get to is, what is one thing that if you had to do over again that would have actually, it's the fourth question in hindsight, that would have saved you a lot of hassles later on?
The first thing that comes to mind, and the reason why we're here, find mentors, find advice, find lessons. If you have to invest your time and money into it, so be it. I didn't do that, and that's my regret. If I have to do it all over again, that's when I would stop.
Sometimes I will bring someone in that I don't delegate, I abdicate.
Yeah.
You know, so if it sounds like they may handle something that I'm awful at, I don't even think I listen for all the red flags. Oh, they'll take care of it. And it's really cost me big time. So the last thing is, what would be the wisdom, and what would be a single takeaway to people who want to become entrepreneurs? What would you want to leave them with, and then we'll go into Q&A.
In business schools, we are taught to plan first. You have to plan everything. You have to find your target, then you shoot. And then someone told me a long time ago, they said, shoot and then take aim. And that was kind of an odd idea. Like, first we were taught take aim, then shoot, and this person is teaching me shoot, then take aim. But there's a wisdom there. And the wisdom is, you don't even know how it feels to shoot, right? So get that experience. Start doing something. Don't fall victim to analysis paralysis. And then chart your course as you go along the way. Find your destination, find your drive, find your inspiration. It all happens over time, when the time is right.
I'm a shrink, so I'm going to leave you with a shrink exercise that sometimes people find helpful. If you can imagine that your personality is a circle, and in the circle are all the parts of you that are trying to prove, show, hide, or please. Prove, show, hide, or please, and they fill the circle. And if you can imagine eliminating all of those, what's left? And a lot of people will say, nothing. So if your personality is filled with prove, show, hide, or please, you are leased out to someone else. You don't belong to you. And if you can just do that exercise, maybe take a long walk on the beach. What people have shared with me is, some of them have been crying. They've said, when I eliminated it, there's been a calling that's been calling out to me for decades, but I never heard it because I was too busy proving, showing, hiding, and pleasing. So I'll just share that with you. Let's give a round of applause to, we'll take some questions.